So, you reached the end of this introductory tour of the Energymetric application, and we'd like to give you a little bit of preparation to do just to get you thinking about the sorts of issues that we're going to be discussing when we come to see you next week. So we have a demonstration environment that we call the Small Island Developing State of Maya. So Maya is in fact a composite of the small island states that we've worked with. It has issues that are taken from all the real issues that they face, and we use it for demonstration purposes and for training exercises such as this. So I'm going to introduce you to Maya. Maya is a country located in the tropics. It's about 10 degrees latitude, could be either way, off the equator. It has a population of 100,000. 100% of the population have access to electricity. The average income is $6,000 gross national income per capita. So pretty low down if you're not familiar with that sort of scale in terms of the income scales around the world. And currently it is almost entirely diesel generation. And there is a small amount of solar PV that has been in place for a few years, pretty much as an experiment. There is a single monopoly electricity utility company, but the government has declared targets to get to 30% renewable generation by 2025 and 60% by 2028. And this has been built into their nationally determined contributions that they've submitted to the COP conferences. And their plan is to get there through a mix of wind and solar generation. Just to give you a bit of an idea of the geography, here is the island of Maya. There is one small outer island which is sparsely populated, and you can ignore it from the point of view of this exercise. But what you can see here is the main island of Maya, which consists of a very mountainous interior. So the dark areas on this map indicate high relief, and it works its way up from sea level all the way up to about 900 meters, somewhere around about here. And there are also some flat volcanic plains as well as the hilly interior. There's an electricity distribution grid, which is shown in red, and that pretty much follows the road network, but it doesn't go all the way around the island. We'll see why in a minute. I've created a very rudimentary resource map for Maya. This is the wind resource map. So this is wind speed at 10 meters, coloured by the coloured scale that's over there. So you can see they've got some wind shaded areas on either side of the island, and a predominantly probably east to west flow across the island. And we also have a rather bright GHI, Global Horizontal Irradiance Resource Map. So we've modelled the island, and it's got some areas where we've got quite a build-up of cloud at certain times of the year, and that's why we're getting these white spots. But generally speaking, quite good yield potential in other places. I should say that the island of Maya, although it is a fictional island, it is a real location in the ocean. There is no island there, but we have modelled it. We have put a digital terrain model on that spot, and then we have used the very same modelling methods that I described in the second video to generate this view of the weather. So the weather is as real as it would be. There's an atoll not too far from it, but there is no hilly island here. But the weather should behave in the way that it would do if you had a volcanic mountain sticking out of the ocean. Protected areas, they've got a few. So there is a scale, a key down here, but you can't go willy-nilly dropping renewable energy installations anywhere. The island relies on tuna fishing and tourism mainly for its income, and especially with regards to places of outstanding natural beauty, there are quite a few protected areas on land and sea. So this blue hatched area is protecting certain areas of the ocean or the coastal regions, and in the middle, in the interior, there are some protected land regions as well. We've also got some dive sites and some turtle nesting sites. So the dive sites need to be protected for reasons of protecting tourism and the ecosystem, and the turtle nesting sites as well need to be protected, well, for both reasons, for tourism and for wildlife preservation. Obviously, in our real islands, there are many other biodiversity issues. The dive sites and the turtle nesting sites are a bit of a proxy for all those type of constraints. But there are protected areas around dive sites and turtle nesting sites in some of our islands. So that rules out quite a few parts of the ocean and quite a few of the land surface areas. Can I move on? So right now, generation in 2022 consists of diesel generation, which is entirely housed in this power station here, which is in the middle of the main port and literally just next to the fuel oil bunker. So fuel deliveries will come in and be delivered into that bunker, and then immediately can be piped over to the power station. And diesel oil is the fuel of choice in Maya. That supplies the whole island, apart from a solar farm that was installed a few years ago at a place called Fanta, next to the airport. That was a bit of an experiment, really, but it is there, providing some PV support into the network. But that's all. It's a very small percentage of the total generation. So they have two targets. One is to get to 30% by 2025, and then 60% renewable generation by 2028. And this is their 2025 proposal. So they're going to add 3 more solar farms at Spalding, Lee and Deacon, and another wind farm on reclaimed land just next to where the central power station is, so the utility company can keep an eye on that. They want to learn from it. They're a little hesitant to get involved with these new technologies, so they want to make sure that they can keep their tabs on it and learn from it. So they got 3 years to get these projects up and running. You can assume that we've been through an exercise like the modelling energy metric. We've considered various sites, many more than these, and they've been narrowed down to this by some sort of purchasing, some sort of procurement issue, possibly an auction, most likely some sort of government procurement, probably with overseas development assistance, funding quite a fair proportion of it. So then in 2028, we're going to add a couple more solar farms at Lemon and Phillips, and also an offshore wind farm at a place called Pine, or it's been given the name Pine. So that plus a rooftop PV scheme. So this is an area scheme in part of the capital city where rooftop PV is going to be provided for suitable roofs in that region, and that will add the final increment of capacity that should get them, they hope, to 60% penetration. So there we go. That's just a little bit of context for you. So what we want you to do is to consider 3 key roles in the Mayan energy transition that is about to occur. We want to consider the island energy and environment minister, so the government representative responsible for setting NDC targets and bringing the island society along in terms of supporting the plans to do this. There is a utility company CEO, so in charge of that network and that power generation facility. And we'd like you to consider an investor who's considering investing in the island energy transition, probably in a few years' time. There's always opportunity for more investment and for increasing that generation capacity that I described. And in fact, some of it may not come to fruition for one reason or another. Projects may fail. So they want a bit of spare capacity and backup, and an investor has considered investing in this, but they want to know more about the risks that they will face. So what we would like you to do, very briefly, is just have a little think about that situation and those roles, and then just jot down for yourself a few bullet points about what potential challenges does the Energy and Environment Minister face, what challenges do the utility company CEO face. I should say in hitting the 2025 and the 2028 targets. I've missed that out on the slide. So reaching those targets, what challenges does the Environment Minister face? Does the utility company manager face? And what does the potential investor need to consider in deciding whether they are going to lend money to a developer to build a 2 megawatt utility solar farm on the island? So think about that. Just list the challenges and the points that each of those people needs to consider. And then for each one, say, well, what resource potential data would you need for wind and solar, and why would you need it? So just think about what I've been describing to you. We will go through all of this in the presentation again, but just have a think about the information need and the resource requirements that are, or the information that's needed to support resource applications. So don't get too worried about this. Just for yourself, jot down a few bullet points, and then be prepared to have a discussion with them. And at various points in our presentation, we'll have a quick group discussion about them and see what points arise. And then we'll compare that with what we've learned from our islands. And hopefully that will give you a good idea about small island states and the challenges that they face in implementing renewable energy, and for that matter, the challenges that the rest of us face in implementing renewables as well. Because the islands, although they are small, will be facing the problems of intermittency probably a lot faster than we are, because being small means they can implement capacity probably a bit quicker if they can get the finance to do so. So there we go. Thanks very much for listening to this. If you've got any questions, please just pass a message on through Paul. But I'm looking forward to seeing you, and Maria Noguer, who's coming with me, is looking forward as well to meeting you all and hopefully having an interesting discussion. Thanks very much.